Looks good.
Okay,
Motion to accept the minutes of October 13th, 2020?
second? Thank you. Okay. Well, the next item on the agenda is for an adjourned public hearing. So I'd like to make a motion that we open this public hearing.
I make a motion to open public hearing.
And we get a second?
Second?
Okay, good. Okay, so this is the appeal number 20-771 for variance for John Kierlow, seeking an area variance of section 240-37 of the district regulations in an R20 zoning district where 20 feet is required to the side yard property line. The applicant can provide 11.2 feet. Is that the correct number we have now?
Yes.
Okay. For the construction of a 550 square foot pool deck with stairs, thus requesting a variance of 8.8 feet. And where 40 feet is required to the rear yard property line, the applicant can provide 27.7 feet for the construction of a 550 square foot pool deck with stairs, thus requesting a variance of 12.3 feet. The property is located at 1 Bungalow Lane, is identified as tax grid number 6257-01-453969 in the town of Wappinger. And I see, I have my glasses on, I see Mrs., there it is, so, John, please come on up and explain one more time what you would like and any new information that you have.
Okay, well, I had, I made some concessions. Hopefully this is enough. Before, whereas 20 feet is required, we could only provide 11.2. Now we can provide 16.12. Also, where 40 feet was required, we could only provide 27.7. We can now provide 32.05. I have site plans for you guys. I only have a couple.
Okay, so we don't have this paperwork in front of us. So we didn't get a chance to look at that, so now would be the time, I guess, to look at it.
Well, I have,
Did you send it into the office?
Nobody told us, so that's why I was wondering, I asked him, I said, were we supposed to send these in when we got them? And nobody, I know we were supposed to try to get the architect to change it, and
Right.
he wanted one plan, but I was not sure that we were supposed to.
Right, well, it's like a submittal for the application, they like to review it in advance.
Yeah, because it looks like what you did was came forth with the exact same thing to us.
what do you mean the exact same thing?
No, prior to your,
Yeah, we didn't get it, we didn't give them the new one.
Oh,
yeah, so we have no idea what you're asking now, so.
I'd like to just make one other change to the agenda. This is saying that it's a 500 square foot. I don't have the exact measurement, but it's closer to 900 square feet with
well,
both
it's no longer
decks.
that because we took off 4 feet.
Right, but I'm just correcting for what we
Oh,
have
no.
now, and then whatever you're gonna submit, we'll change that again. Say 900, I think it's 8 and change, but it's, without the little corners, it's close to 900 square feet.
Okay, so, we want to take a look at this now, or do we want to?
We
Yeah,
can-
I'd hate to come back a fourth time.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
can look at, but I think we may have to really.
Do you want to submit those up here so they can look at it?
I mean, it's been very straightforward. You guys were concerned about the side with the
Yeah,
fence where
true.
the neighbor is, that it was too close, so we
True.
took another 4 feet off.
But at last minute, I don't know.
Share. Okay, so this is the old one, yeah.
Maybe the old one?
No, I'll look with Tom. This, yeah, he's got it.
I'm looking at this one.
It's 15.29.
this one, yeah.
So I think here, he took this, cut it off, and he cut it into here, because this is the same as here. So instead of adding a platform steps, he cut in the platform steps. To bring this up to 32. And 27.
This is kind of this one, short.
Right. He actually took this off, and then put it in here. Put it into
This
the.
piece here.
Yes. I took that off.
So then.
Looks quick.
Here.
Right.
I think that's what we're all thinking, right?
Yeah.
Sorry, we have to discuss this.
Yeah, that's fine.
No,
Take-
I'm sorry
take all the
that
time
I
you want.
didn't bring it.
Sorry for everybody that.
Yeah, I think it's clear.
Sorry.
Okay, so,
So the variance would be 4-foot change
We'll catch you, don't worry.
instead of 8. 8.
So I think before it was like 50%, you guys said, 50% variance, now it's closer to 30.
Yeah. Okay, I'm just looking at percentage, this is 20%, and this is 60%. So this is required portion. So I think this is not to be. So this is also, so both are 20%.
It's not this one, where is that, right? It's this one?
Oh, you're right, yes.
So then this variance becomes
So this is more important for us.
771
So
where
that's
you need
15,
20
so 5 foot.
minus 12.29.
5 foot.
It's 7.71 feet to the side.
okay.
And the other one is 40 minus 32. Did you say 3205?
Yeah, 32 is out.
23%. So this is
And then this one is
24%.
7.95 to the rear
So,
instead of
so this is
12.3.
23. 23
So we have 23 and roughly 8,
No,
or 10.
16. I will just take the look at one.
The bottom will be
32
7.95 feet.
multiplied by
To the rear.
divided by 40. 20%.
So you say he would need to do this.
So the variance, is, if you grant that, it would be a 7.71 foot variance to the side yard and 7.95 feet to the rear yard.
So on side, how much?
Is that 20 feet minus 12.29?
Okay, I have 15 feet. We have 12 feet.
Because that's what he's saying he has here.
Yes. So here 15.29. So out of 20, so it's 4.75.
Oh, 15, I'm sorry.
So it will
Wrong
be,
number, I think even
so
better.
4.75. So,
4.71.
yeah,
4.71.
Yes, that's all right.
So 4.71 and 7.95.
Yes. I
Like
can-
dyslexic kind of.
So I'm just converting percentage, right?
Little less than 25.
Yes. So
Mhm.
23.75,
Mhm.
that's 21.7875 here. This is here.
20.
yeah.
Okay.
This is still.
Okay. So,
And we'll just need one of these
So-
to keep
so-
the record.
how do we present this?
So let me sit down to our camera.
Thank you.
So the rules with a variance are such that after a public hearing has been printed in the paper and open to the public, you couldn't increase the variance. So he couldn't make it a larger variance. Say he came back and said, I want my deck to be bigger. But you can always make it smaller, because the public has been notified that it's X, and if they didn't come out against it, and you're making it smaller, it's even more in their favor. So you could, if you wanted to entertain this, do that without republishing legally.
Okay. So, in this case, we want to be accurate with our numbers, don't we?
Yes.
So, do we read the old numbers and say changed to such and such?
Well, we can just make this, so, for the record, the side yard variance where the gentleman needs 20 feet to the side, he now will have 15.29 feet, giving him a variance, should you give it to him, of 4.71 feet. And to the rear, where the code requires 40 feet, he would now, he shortened it so that he would now have 32.5 feet, I'm sorry, 32.05 feet, which would then create a variance of 7.95 feet. So the deck originally was slated to be 18-foot wide. You've cut off 4 feet. The deck would now be 14 feet wide from the pool. You're in agreement?
Yes.
Okay. So I'm going to read these numbers again that were revised, and hopefully I get them right, because I got numbers scribbled all over the place right now. And then we'll proceed from there. So I'm only going to read the figures, not the district regulation information. So where 20 feet is required to the side property line, the applicant can provide 15.29 feet
Yes.
for the construction of a 550, is it 550? 900.
Which
Because that
now,
was a mistake, the 550 was a
Nearly.
mistake?
no, it was, we weren't including the smaller deck.
I got you,
So now, roughly, it would be
900.
700. So he's reduced it by approximately 200 square feet.
Okay, so
700 plus minus. like you just-
okay, so the applicant can provide 15.29 feet for the construction of a 700 square foot pool deck, thus requesting a variance of 4.71 feet.
Mhm.
And where 40 feet is required to the rear property line, the applicant can provide 32.05 feet for the construction of the 700 square foot pool deck with stairs, thus requesting a variance of 12.3 feet.
No, 7.9.
Oh, sorry, I read the old one, okay, see, I told you.
Yeah.
7.9 feet. So, and this property is located at 1 Bungalow Lane, and the tax grid is 6257-01-453969 in the town of Wappinger. And I'd just like to know if there's anyone else on the board and or in the audience that would like to speak to this?
Yeah, can I just say one more thing?
Sure.
We even thought about making it even a little smaller, but the only thing is we want to entertain on it, have tables, chairs while the kids are in the pool. And the last thing I want to do is be carrying a tray and get too close to the end of the pool or fall.
Okay, okay. Anybody on the board wish to make a comment about this?
Yeah, I'm glad you reduced the side from the side variation. I had big concern with the side. Now I think at least we can talk about this variation. Before it was not practical. Yes, it is wasted line, but that's where we choose to live, where we have rules that we have to have this buffer space between us and the neighbor. So I think we have to respect that. And your property especially is a nice area, where people are going to walk around lake and will see. So that's why another concern I had was that, hey, everybody's going to see that, and it becomes a record of saying, hey, that neighbor got it, why not me? Right? So then there is no need to have any rules and regulations in place, and we will lose our identity, what we have, that, hey, in this town, we have a lot of space to keep it open for everyone. So,
And trust me, the last thing I want to do is make the community look less attractive, but you know, I think I'm making it more beautiful.
and that was the big concerns I had was, yes, it is a wasted space if we see that way, but it is required in this community.
I'll figure out something to do with it.
So that's a good point. So the next time you come before the board.
Oh my God, this is the next time?
If you do come before the board, you know, try and submit that information. Now, you made a change.
Yes.
Oh, okay, I wasn't sure.
Yeah.
I thought maybe Paul might have brought it in.
Yeah, so it was kind of a surprise to us, as you all
Oh,
saw
okay.
tonight.
Sorry about that.
Okay, we'll forgive you. Okay, so, is there anybody else that would like to say anything?
Yeah, I just have one comment. You know, I understand the desire to maintain the view corridor from your house to the lake. And I think that's the strongest reason to possibly say yes to what you submitted. Since the deck could be flipped on the opposite side, I understand that would really, you know, block, and you'd use out those windows, look towards the lake, which is a major aspect of that site. I'm sure one of the selling points on getting that house in
Absolutely.
general.
Okay, anybody else? Okay, can I have a motion that we close this public hearing?
Make a motion to close the public hearing.
I second it.
In a second. And one more thing before we proceed is you see that Pete, our chairman, is not here tonight. You need 3 votes in order for this to proceed. And there's only 4 of us here, so
Okay.
you can delay till the next meeting if you like. This goes for everybody. You can delay to the next meeting if you like, or you can ask for a vote tonight.
No, I'll delay.
You want to delay?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're going to ask to adjourn this until the
Yeah,
next
so the
meeting?
next time I just come and you guys just vote, and that's it.
Yeah.
It's done? Okay.
Okay. So, I'm just going to ask for someone to make a motion that we adjourn the public hearing.
I make a motion.
And everybody besides John
The
Kerr.
applicant.
Anybody
Second.
make a motion?
I make a motion to adjourn public hearing. From today to the next meeting is November 10.
Second.
November the 10th. Okay. Do we need a roll call on that? B?
Yeah, you should ask.
Okay, so we're going to have a roll call on the vote to adjourn the public hearing. So,
Yes,
can we have roll call, B?
yes.
Mr. Lorenzini?
No.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Delacorte?
Yes. Okay, so we have 3 votes.
No, but we are delaying this one, right?
We're
You have
adjourning.
3 votes to delay
Okay.
the
Yeah.
public hearing
Okay.
until November the 11th.
Mhm.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Okay. Okay, the next item on the agenda is appeal number 20-7713, which is a variance for Faris and Jill Brodsky Ibrahim, seeking an area variance of section 240-37 of district regulations in an R40 zoning district, where 25 feet is required to the side property line. The applicant can provide 8 feet 4 inches for the installation of a 16 by 32 foot in-ground pool, thus requesting a variance of 16 feet 6 inches. The property is located at 20 Peter Drive and is identified as tax grid number 6157-04-963227 in the town of Wappinger. And can I have a motion to open this public hearing?
I make a motion to
Second?
open.
So, Mr. Statola, you're gonna come up? and speak to, okay.
The homeowner's here as well.
Okay,
Great.
how you doing?
Hi,
Hi. Okay, so we did get a letter from Mr. Satoli. Do we need to read this into the record, Barb, or is this fine?
You can just acknowledge that we received a letter on
Okay.
October 14th, and it will be part of the record.
Yeah, so the letter was received on the 14th, as Barb said, and it's a letter from Mr. Satoli concerning the feelings, I would say, of the client towards the application for the variance. So wanna go through that again with us about what you would like to do, and maybe you wanna touch upon the letter?
Sure.
Okay.
Again, we're kind of, we're requesting variance because the pool is situated between the property line and a geothermal system. After the last meeting, I believe you asked two things of me. One, to discuss the possibility of reducing the size of the pool and actually reducing the size of the variance, discussing that with the customer. The other is, was to provide a schematic or a drawing or photographs of where the geothermal actually was installed. On discussion of reducing the size of the pool, as we said last time, if we reduce it any further, we won't have room for a pool slope in the floor to.
Oh, what was that? I'm sorry.
We wouldn't have enough length in the pool to have the proper slope to have an 8-foot deep end.
I got you, yeah.
Given the construction costs and everything included, you know, we feel that the customer should be entitled to the features of the pool that they want to build. As far as a schematic or drawing or layout of the geothermal, we don't have anything. What we do have are the wooden stakes that were marked in the yard. I did ask, when I asked for a drawing, the homeowner, Ferris, said that those stakes were actually put in at the installation time. So we know they're accurate. And that's the only record that we have.
Okay, thank you. So, I would like to ask members of the board who have read the letter and have been familiar with the case, if they have anything to say, maybe we could all speak up one at a time here. So, who'd like to go first? Mr. Shah?
Okay, yeah, I see the later, yes, I can see your opinion, but we are trying to see from long-term impact in the community by establishing one household this way, next one would be asking same thing, and there is no other reason to deny anyone else. That means there is no need to have all rules and regulation in place. As I was saying to previous one, that yes, for some space we need it because that's where we where we live in a community where the rules are. So I can see your opinions, but I think we are looking for not one case, we are looking for overall impact on community. So I don't agree with all your points, but I will take on your positions. Not having geothermal, I think that's one of the concerns we also have. We don't know where it is. I think we need to know a little bit more information on geothermals, then we can see what can be done. Having geothermal installed a long time ago, still should have some kind of information or easy to get survey or something, get that information. Without that, I feel that I think I'm not doing honest judgment. So that's my reaction on your later saying if we don't know.
I think we expressed that opinion the last time you were here, that
Yes.
you're asking us without any evidence
Yeah.
to approve this.
Right.
We don't know where it is, you don't know where it is, so,
Well, again, the only bearing we have are the stakes that were placed there when it was installed.
no, I understand that.
And, I mean, if the town doesn't mandate a schematic for the installation, I mean,
Yeah, but still now we are looking to modify something, and then that information is what stopping us, right? That not knowing the location, just assuming that's where it is, that's going to stop us making right decision.
My point is that if nothing was mandated to be filed at the installation,
At that point, true.
Right,
Absolutely, I don't see any.
I don't have anything, you know, for our
Mr.
benefit.
Abraham, we'll give you a
provide
chance to
as well.
speak. You can, we'll give you a chance. Or you'll get, you can come up with it. So,
And there's one other thing I wanted to add too. I don't think I noted that in my email, is that, you know, the placement of the pool is not the ideal location. It's not where we'd like to put it. It would actually be a lot more, user-friendly, if it was centered in the yard. So, I mean, the reason for requesting the variance, the reason for plotting the pool where it is because it is the place where it physically has to go.
you actually did mention that in the letter.
Oh, I did, okay.
Yes,
All right,
yes,
so
in the last
I'm
paragraph.
sorry.
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, so, no, we took that into consideration also.
Okay.
Mr. Barr?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it's just not knowing what the stakes represent. Is that just the loop going to the house? Is that the start of the field? Which maybe we'll
Yeah.
hear.
You want Mr. Ibrahim to come up and answer that question for you?
Yeah, I think that'd be helpful.
Yeah.
I think that's what we're kind of talking about at this point. We understand the size of the pool in terms of requirements. Yeah, I don't have any questions in terms of that.
Yeah, so, Mr., just state your name for the record,
Ferris Ibrahim,
the owner.
I'm the owner of 20 Peter Drive.
Okay. Thank
Seeking
you.
a variance for my swimming pool.
Mhm.
So the geothermal system was put in when the house was built back in 2011, 2013 is when it was finally installed. It consists of 7 loops, 3 of which exist in the front yard and 4 of which exist in the back. The access to the back loops come out of the left side of the house facing the street, loop around the house, and then go into the backyard, and then they're set deep in the backyard, probably 15 feet from where the tree line is. When they were building the house and putting the geothermal system in, I said, I definitely want a pool. Can you mark where it is so that they don't come in and destroy these lines, because it's a multi-$1,000 system and it'll cost me a fortune if you bring in machinery and crush these lines, or they're digging the pool when they hit. So they staked out the yard and said you can dig within the confines of these stakes, which create almost a semicircle from the property line around, and those are the confines within which the ground can be disrupted without damaging the coils. There's about 3 feet from the stake to where the coils would be, and the coils are buried between 7 and 8 feet under the surface of the ground.
Okay, so, anybody like to address what Mr. Ibrahim just said?
Yeah, one question I would have is, last time when we were talking about the depth of the pool at the shallow end, like what would the maximum depth be?
So for a shallow end, where we're 4 feet of water, 3.5 or 4 feet, or pool rather, you have 4 foot of space from the top of the beam to the pool floor. You have 1 foot of gunite floor, and then approximately a foot of gravel. So you're talking about a 6 foot excavation.
So you'd be at or slightly above
We'd be.
where that is, correct?
Yeah.
It's a concern if I think about where you're going, because I'd love to I'd love to move the pool closer to where I have the double doors that are actually the
Yeah.
walkout basement. The compaction would end up crushing the coils, and then the fluid would leak, and it would essentially kill that loop.
And then the half circle that's staked out, is that essentially on both sides? Because you said it's deeper down into the yard where the actual loops are, correct?
Yeah, if, there's a picture of it, I can find. So it would go like, complete that loop.
The dash is on the other side though. Is that also, is there a loop in that dashed area or is that?
There's leach field from my septic system.
So that's a leach field.
So the leach field, yeah, ideally, I'd love to put the pool right here. This is my septic tank,
Mhm.
and then this is the leach field.
Okay, yeah, because we had thought the leach field was further down based on what I think you said last time, right?
As you explained to me, I mean, if you guys tell me I could put a pool here, we're,
Yeah, I mean, the question I would have is, you know, if it's the loop going back to the house, it seems like it's essentially falling within where you would have the gravel for that foundation. If there's no way to put some kind of precast concrete over top spanning that, I mean, what's the size of these pipes that we're talking about? I mean, they're what, 4 inches? I don't honestly know.
yeah, they're,
Like a 4-inch PVC type of tube?
If I look at this diagram, which shows looks like there is a septic tank pipe going here and connected to this square, means this is a leach field, not here around here. So the diagram you have versus this one looks like two little different.
what was
and it-
explained to me when they had built the
Yeah.
house was there was the initial leach field, which runs directly off the septic, and then there's a almost, I'll call it extra or runoff field that sits further back in the event that I were to add additional
Oh.
bathrooms or
But-
anything like that, then I would need extra capacity, and that's what's further back in the.
But what I see here is a septic tank looks like here,
Mhm.
and then there's pipe going through. It doesn't show anywhere else pipe going. So I have to assume this is right. Now, you need to find out a little bit more about it to confirm which is right, that one or this one. Because to me, it looks like this is what pipe's showing here. Or the one diagram you have does not show pipe are connected, right?
That's just denoting where those wood stakes are and not to cross any further over. That
Yeah,
is
but,
no
but,
septic for-
yeah, right, but that looks like nothing there active, at least I should say.
It seems like
Yeah.
3 feet past that line is probably 2 4-inch PVC lines that are going to the loop, from the loop to the house. Is that accurate? Is that what we're
Right,
thinking?
we've got essentially,
But,
it would be roughly that much space that you would have to carve out on this side, so
Mhm.
that you're not disturbing the coils that are buried underneath the ground.
Was it the coils or is it the loop going back to the house from the coils?
The
yeah,
coils are actually going, so it's the loop that gets you the coils, so yes.
The loop to the coils,
coils are
right?
in the coils are here, and that's
Right.
your, I've got
So
four
it's-
loops essentially that run back.
it will be straight pipe or something connecting to the house.
Yes,
Right,
they
from
come
the
in on
core.
this side of the house,
Right,
and then they
yeah.
connect to the geothermal.
All right.
And there's no solution that you guys have done in the past to have a pool over top of several lines like that? It doesn't seem that difficult.
Mhm.
I'm even concerned about them driving the equipment over here and the weight of the equipment that they would use, potentially crushing the coils.
I don't see how that would necessarily happen. I mean, the way it would be so distributed, it should never crush the lines
I
below.
think,
There's all sorts of shoulds, and then there's all of a sudden,
yes.
hey, Farish, we're sorry, but we actually brought in the big tractor to get this done faster, and the next thing we know, your coils are busted, but you can go ahead and pay to replace those, because that's not within our contract or our own responsibility. Not that I don't think the guys at Rainbow are great, and wouldn't do an awesome job.
Yeah, in the past, we would not, much like septic, you know, we would not cross any boundaries where we thought there
Well,
was.
the septic is different because you don't want it on top of a leach field, right? Because
Same
it's
aspect, I mean, if it's a.
like this is a pipe. It's more similar to, you know, pipes going underneath roadways all the time. I mean, it's not inherently different than something similar to that.
Again, if there's buried utilities, we don't take any chances.
Should not, right.
Okay, I understand. John, is there anything you wanted to say toward this? I know you might have something to say about it. I don't know if you want to say anything?
No, I think Barbara answered my question.
I do have a question though for you. You're showing the mechanicals on the property line. What's there besides the filter? What does that entail?
So the mechanicals, I'm happy to provide an updated drawing, are actually gonna go on the opposite side of the house now.
Okay.
So they won't be on the wood line anymore.
And the decking, regardless of what you're gonna use, cement or rock, is this gonna go to the property line?
The pool patio, you mean? We don't have plans for hardscape yet.
So I think you need to consider that as well, because the way they're fencing this in, just so that later, they're putting a fence, it looks like from the side of the house to the property line. You're coming down the property line, and running it across the back of the pool,
Mhm.
further into the yard and back again. So
I'm
typically,
not seeing that part of what you're talking about. Is there a way that you could
this is the fence, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
show me what she?
yeah, you're right.
So it's here, right?
And the thought,
And then
depending
it
on the,
seems to go, no, it goes here.
I think it, right.
Yeah, you don't have a solid line here, but you know, that's there,
Problem with the fence?
there, I don't, no, here it is, it's coming in to here, and I don't know what you're
That's the
doing with it
fence,
here.
actually.
Okay, so where's the fence?
Fence is actually, you were right here, it goes into
Yeah.
the pool. Oh, you know what, it might be on the, it might not be on the grading plan, it may be on the, site plan. Looks, I have a copy.
Barb, what is it that you wanted us to know? I mean, I just spoke to John, he kind of gave me an idea.
Well, one of
So-
it,
so
on
I
this
just wanna
plan, showed the
clarify. What you're saying is exactly what John is
So
telling
the
me.
mechanicals on my plan were shown on the property line,
Yes.
which was unacceptable, but he said he already moved them to the
Yeah,
inside of the
okay.
yard.
Absolutely move them out, away from the property line, opposite side of the house.
Yeah.
So my other concern is when an in-ground pool goes in, there tends to be some sort of decking, regardless of whether it's made out of unitile, like whatever, different kinds of landscaping or cement.
Hmm.
And so it goes around the pool, and it's rather wide, so people can walk around it, sometimes push their lawns, out, you know, whatever. So if the fence is going directly along the back of the pool, I find that hard, that you're gonna have a fence practically at the edge of the pool.
The
The
pool-
erosion control fence, Barb, you're talking about?
No,
That's
that's
listed?
what I'm trying to find. No, the erosion control fence is thicker. The pool fence he's showing is what I'm trying to get a better understanding of here. Do you have the
So-
pool fence?
So on the side, kind of facing the steep
Oh,
hill.
this is erosion control,
Yeah.
not safety.
At the corner of the pool.
Right, because we didn't want to see it, so we ran it to the property line. We also wanted to make sure that from mowing a lawn standpoint, if it was along the property line, I could kind of get in and mow easy as opposed to having it in the middle of the yard. And
I
having
guess
to
you
mow
have
it.
8 feet literally to, if this was granted, you have 8 feet from water's edge
Mhm.
to the property line. So since most people put 3 to 10 to 12 feet, whatever, of
Oh, yeah.
Like our previous
landscaping,
holding.
I fear is you're gonna put cement or another product from the pool's water edge to the property line, because you're not gonna wanna mow through there. And that's a lot onto someone's property line. So I just need to be clear, because they'll be gone when we're coming out to see your pool.
No, that I totally get. I don't, if my assurance is worth anything, the way the pool is set up and the elevation it would be at, it would cost me so much money to build a retaining wall, to put in the stonework, to take it all the way to the property line. The reason that I'm getting a gunite pool is so that I don't have to build a retaining wall to keep the pool in place.
But,
or to
but
have
on the
to put
side, is
stone-
it level with the ground on the side?
No.
Only at the top
It
side.
would only be to the back end of the house.
So your property's gonna slope and your pool's sticking out almost above
It's
ground
exposed,
as you
yeah.
go around
Yeah,
it?
it's elevated.
Okay,
It's
I
it's
feel a
like
little better
fake
about that.
infinity pool.
So where are you going to put your decking toward your home, like on that
Yes.
side of the pool,
Yep.
It'd be
going in?
between the shallow corner of the pool and probably the egress from the basement doors.
So the end, kind of overlooking the hill where you're up, what, 6 feet? You're gonna have a fence right on that line, right, where the pool between the.
So right now, Barb, what I seem to think that you're saying is there's no depiction, any way, shape, or form of the pool deck,
Yeah.
No, there isn't, and
But
for this
it's-
purpose, you didn't need it,
because,
but, because they really just have to show you the measurement is to the water's edge.
okay.
But while we're here, and the fact that it is so close,
Mhm.
I wanted to know what they had plans for that side.
Okay.
For example, put a wood deck all the way around it on the sides.
Right, and so that in of itself would be a problem,
Mhm.
because you'd be
Too
at
close.
zero clearance.
Would it, I mean, would it be possible to put a stipulation in that we wouldn't build a patio off the auto cover end?
Well, you'd need another grading permit to build the ground up that much around it, so,
Right, so,
and at that point, I'd say no, so. So, but I just wanted that clarified on the record.
No, that's a good
So
point.
it's
It's a good point.
L-shaped decking where the back end against the back of the property line has nothing, and the side end that goes against the property line has nothing.
So you'll be mowing that,
It'll all be grass.
okay.
And
for planting.
Okay, and the mechanicals will be on the inside.
They'll probably be on the side of the house where
Where's
the
the-
generator and that buried propane tank is, so I already have utilities that are outside.
What is the propane tank for? What is?
Is it for
that it's
heating?
buried?
My-
That's for the germ,
Hot water heating,
okay.
stove.
So you're gonna put the mechanicals there and then just bury them?
I'm
Yeah.
actually just gonna put something decorative around them so my neighbors don't have to look at it.
Right, but you're gonna have to
Yeah, the
put the
lines.
pipe, the lines
Yeah.
have to go across.
I actually submitted, sorry to interrupt, I actually submitted an updated grading plan. That shows the pool equipment on the right side of the house.
Okay.
Is there any code requirement for being able to walk all the way around the pool? I know in the city you need, like in Manhattan, you need 5 feet on all sides.
So in his case, the pool is gonna be in-ground from the house side.
Yeah.
But literally, as you walk down the sides and the back, it's an above-ground
There's two
pool.
inaccessible sides, yeah.
Right, so the problem that could be, there has to be a fence that's at least 48 inches high anywhere the pool is, where someone could fall in. So I really don't see that here, so it's kind of hard. That's something we can handle at the building department, but if the pool is sticking up, where somebody could walk around and almost climb in at 2 foot on the grade of the slope, you're going to have to fence this in completely.
Oh, it is.
Yeah, I think the
Okay.
idea for us was to run the fence to prevent exactly what you're talking about, is I can't walk into the pool, and then it would go around, and at that point,
Right, so
it'd be like a 6-foot climb up into the pool.
right, so as long as it's fenced in, regardless of the fact that it sticks out of the ground, and it's got a self-closing, self-locking lock on the gates, then that's okay. We treat it like any other in-ground pool.
It has this automatic cover as well.
So anybody else have anything to say?
Has anybody reviewed this with the geothermal company that originally did the work?
I called and I asked just to double check of, do you have anything when you were doing this, other than just, pictures that they took of them digging holes, which don't do much for anyone? He does not.
He has no plan from when they didn't do a plan?
No.
No, some pictures might have, tell us a story, right?
I mean, it's literally gonna be what looks like a trench.
Yeah, so that will tell us distance-wise, where it is, basically. That's, all we are looking for is to confirm the distance what we're talking about.
It's before the stakes are in the ground, so
Stake
it's
is-
just gonna be,
Yeah,
it's
but-
literally gonna be a picture of my entire backyard
Yeah,
and a trench.
but the stake is putting down not 8 years ago, recently, from the
No,
memory.
the stakes were put in 8 years ago. When they dug that, I said, I wanna put a pool in, I don't want these to get damaged based
Oh.
on how much it costs. You stake out how far they have to be from those foils
Right.
or from the boots.
So sticks are there, the one which we saw is from 8 years?
Yeah, one of them broke.
Mm-hmm, oh,
Otherwise, I have been mowing around those for 8
yeah,
years.
oh,
I have been dedicated to
Hmm.
having a pool and saving to get a pool and making
Mm.
sure that I knew exactly where it
Ah.
needed to go based on everything else.
so did you review those pictures? Because one of the question we had was, what is coming at side of the house, is it pipes or loop?
So
So that's the question I think I would ask,
two come out of the side of the house,
garage side,
on the garage side of the house,
two,
correct?
right.
They run, so there's every loop, so there's 4 in the back, everyone has 2. So there's 8 essentially that come out,
Mm-hmm,
run down between the deck and where the pool would be,
right, oh,
buried 7 to 8 feet underground, and then they run 2 to 3 feet to the side of those stakes into the backyard where there's then the 4 actual coils
oh, okay.
that contain the fluid below the frost line.
I mean, I guess I would be interested to hear from the geothermal company if they think there's any solution where they can either, it would be good to know what the burden to you would be if they either had to shift those lines or give you a solution where you're building over top of those lines, and how many lines we're talking about. Four pipes.
5
Well,
loops,
8 pipes.
8
it's
pipes.
four-
We're-
four
Eight
loops.
pipes and a trench going down to the loops.
So the cost would be, I mean, I'd have to call and ask him what it would be, but
5 loops.
it wouldn't be cheap.
Yeah, I mean, like, one of the issues is always that, you know, somebody builds one thing, and then that thing impacts something else in the yard, which then it requires a variance. It's kind of this chain reaction of things. They're not, natural site features or anything imposed on the city's end. And, you know, that's where I started to have a bit of a problem.
Yeah, I mean, if I was an engineer and had it my way when it was done, I absolutely would have said, why don't we run it down, this, essentially, where I'm asking for the variance, I would have been like, why don't we bury them over there?
So it would have made sense to have, like, a link against the property line as close as
Right.
possible.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
At the time.
So, after reading the letter again and again, still a lot of here that bothers me. Is there anyone else that would like to speak in the audience before we proceed?
I just wanted to.
No,
Come
you
on
have to
up,
come
please.
up.
And state your name and who you are.
My name is Jason Litchwick. I'm an architect, but I'm also a friend of Ferris and Jill. Lichwick. So I wanted to address your question about building over top of them. The way a geothermal system works is that it uses the heat, the Earth's natural temperature of 55 degrees. That's why they have to be down below the frost line, which is 42 inches. So that way, that glycol solution stays at that constant 55 degrees, and it heats up faster and cools faster. That's what saves the energy. By digging down on top of those, you're reducing, if you take away 3 feet, 4 feet to put a pool in, you're now not below that frost line, and those pipes could freeze.
No, that makes sense. I mean, it's not the loops we're talking about, it's the lines going back to the house.
But that's.
It just seems like
But that's the geothermal system.
if you expose these lines and put 6 inches
It
of
would seem to me
insulation on
that'd be
top
a-
and then
Well,
gravel.
one at a time, guys, one at a time. John,
I'm
you
not
got it.
talking
over here,
about permanently,
geothermal over there.
this would be a
Yeah,
temporary
when the pool
exposing
is still
during.
down, the top of the pool is down 3.5 feet, 3 feet.
Yes.
So if he's at 8 feet, and you come down, and he's also adding gravel, you're not gonna have that 4 feet.
Well, I think the excavator is gonna be right on top of these lines. So if you're on top of these lines, and you've exposed the top, and then, and again, I'm not engineering this system, that's why I would be interested to hear if the geothermal company has a solution, because I assume they do. As these lines get closer to the house, typically probably move up in grade. Just, not everyone even has a basement, and you still have to get in the house with them. So I would think that there would be a solution where you could expose the top, insulate, gravel, whatever structure he needs to do. And again, these are hypothetical solutions, you know, but I think there could be an option there.
I want to say, what question, Mr. Litchwick? is it?
Yes.
Were you the architect of the house?
No.
Okay, so you're just a friend of, oh, gotcha, all right, thank you. And I think this, although I don't think it's, Dave's argument is a good argument, but we're talking about whether or not to grant the variance. And we're trying to come up with some other solutions, because in essence, we've asked for some things and we really got nothing from you. So I find it very difficult to believe that there's no documentation on the geothermals. I'm baffled by that. It may be, but I'm just baffled by it. So that's one thing. As far as, you know, David and moving the thermal lines or changing or building on top of them, I mean, we're dealing with a variance here. That's a very large variance, and we're not inclined to look at large variances like that, happily. So what I think we need to do is we're gonna ask, we're gonna look, if anybody else has anything to say, I'd like them to speak now. John, I know you brought up a few points. And then we're gonna have a vote, if you like, and the vote is gonna be, you need 3 people to pass it. 3 people to vote yes for the variance to pass. If not, we have an opportunity for our 5th member to come back. You have probably, the odds might be better in that case to have 5 people, so I want you to be aware of that also. So, John, was there something you wanted to say? Because I heard you talking, so I don't know if you want to talk.
Nope, I'm good, thank you.
Just as a side note, have you reached out to the builder? I think Mid-Hudson Development built this house, because it's not that long ago.
They did.
have you reached out to John or Chris there? Did you, are you the first buyer? They built it for you?
Yep.
Okay, so have you reached out to John or Chris? They
Not
might-
in regards to them, I mean, every piece of documentation they had related to the house, I have sitting in a drawer in my office that says 20 Peter Drive, and as soon as he said, hey, I need documentation for the geothermal system, I tore the whole folder apart, and they've had, you know, everything I could ask for except any sort of drawing related to where the geothermal is. So then I called Perfect Temperature, who did the install, and I said, I'm trying to get a pool in, do you have any documentation about where you actually put it? He said, no, we put those stakes in. He goes, that's all it was. He goes, we didn't even have to do that. We did that because you wanted us to. And
But
said,
I would
if you're
call-
thinking about heating the pool, we can hook it to your geothermal system from inside the house.
Right, but
That's good.
I think it would be worth calling, because this went around your house, right? It's in the front and the rear.
Yep.
And the lines, did they come down the, if you're in the street, the left side of the house? How does it connect from the front to the back? Because the other side's your driveway.
Yes, they're buried deeper there for the driveway.
But they came around that side where your septic tank is. So you have a lot
No,
of,
I'm sorry, they come around the driveway side.
they do. It wouldn't hurt to call them, because as builders, when they do something like this, they might have kept something to show another buyer or for themselves. You just never know what they might have as the builders. At this point, I mean, it wouldn't hurt to check,
I'll call John and ask.
you know. I mean, I just can't, and I think that's what the board's saying, that they just put this in and piped without any plan, like willy-nilly.
I mean, it would
It's
be
just
the-
hard to believe.
It'd be the
They
same as
wouldn't
me
have
calling
that.
my electrician and saying, hey, could you show me where every wire is in the house? And he'd be like, no.
Well,
But I-
technically, he should be able to trace them out. That's the problem. An electrician can trace out every line. A plumber can trace out every pipe. So if this broke,
Right.
what would you do 5, 10 years from now if they had to come out to repair it, if they don't know where anything is?
So if the line breaks, there's 7 lines, that's the reason there's 7 lines. So in order to actually run the system, I need 4. I have 3 redundant lines so that if lines break, the system can continue to operate. If I were to hook a heater to my geothermal system to heat the pool, I would take one of my redundant lines out of play essentially and hook that inside the house because they don't want to disturb the
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah, but you don't know where it is.
No, inside the
Sorry,
house.
Mr. Question.
You don't know where the line is. How would you hook it up, right?
It's a connection
No, no, no,
inside the
when
house.
you go inside the
Oh,
house.
inside the
you
house,
can
got
see
it.
where
Sure. Yeah.
each
I got
return
you.
is.
All
right.
They would hook it to that, the same way it's hooked to the unit that actually heats the house.
Okay, so we're,
It's one of the issues though that the pool installers just don't install anything anywhere close to a geothermal line.
I mean, part of it is just that I have concern based on, right, the geothermal company. Everyone's feedback has been, stay away
Stay
from those
away.
lines because you don't want to crush them.
I mean, they're utility lines, you know, people build on top of them, you know, exposed utility lines.
But
No.
if you built a $60,000 geothermal heating system, would you risk wanting to put anything on top of it?
Mm.
If it essentially negated.
I would avoid the loops at all costs. The 8 lines going to the house, I would be less concerned with because you know exactly where the potential issue is.
okay, so, is there anything else, Sean?
Yeah, no, just wanted to say, just basically you're looking for to confirm where those lines are and any other alternates from a pool side or pool location wise. I mean, we saw your letter, clear says no, but I think on the other side, we as a board member leaning towards not to say yes, not to give the variance. And once we vote that one, you have to go through whole process again. So I would suggest that let's get that information, let's see the alternates and see how we can work with you. Right? So
Okay, so
pictures were good.
essentially what he's saying is he would like that information. Of course, we all would, we asked for it. I understand it's hard to get. But still, we're back to the variance. The variance is very large. So, the thing I would like to suggest is that even though you say here to eliminate the ability to have an 8-foot deep end with the cost of the pool and the hardships of living through construction, we feel like the client should be entitled to building the pool with the features that they want. on our side of the fence here, we feel that the pool should be moved in a little bit. It's too large of a variance. That's where we're coming from here. So even if you point out those geothermal lines, to me, if I'm gonna vote on it, they're there, okay. We're taking your word for it that they're there, but it still doesn't show the variance is too large.
So in essence, you won't grant a variance?
I'm not saying we won't grant the variance. I'm just saying I'm inclined, as in one person, one board member, not to approve it. So, I don't know how the rest of the board feels. We haven't talked about it. We're not supposed to. And we have another member who's not here tonight. I don't know how that person feels about it either. But I think your issue is the size of, so, the size of the variance is too large, basically. You're too close to the line. And as Mr. Shah stated earlier, in the very beginning of this conversation, we have to look at precedents for everybody. And we understand your concerns there, but we have to work on this too. We have to come to a compromise, basically, in my opinion. So, I don't know how you want to proceed. You want to, we can have a vote on it tonight. We can adjourn and wait for the fifth member. We can wait for the geothermal lines to be proven to us, although that may not happen the way it sounds. We can think about other options, essentially what we just talked about before, what I read to you from here. The reduction of the size. We can work on that. So it's up to you. How would you like to proceed? Would you like a vote on this tonight, or?
It sounds like a vote tonight would really be a vote in my favor, so I'm gonna forego the vote tonight, if I'm reading the room correctly. Especially given that you guys are looking for more information, I can try to figure out who can survey to find geothermal lines. I can come back and show you where the geothermal lines and loops are on the property. I'll be researching that for now. As far as shrinking the size of the pool, I mean, Dave and I had talked about it, and it becomes a matter of, my wife's really short, I'm not a small guy, so to have a pool that I can actually swim in, 32 feet felt like, that's essentially four body lengths for me to get across the pool and back, maybe 5, but, and then the idea of turning it perpendicular, so everything that you guys asked, we absolutely discussed in detail of, if we turn the pool perpendicular, what would that mean? Well, okay, then we could put, patio here, and then it would be open on the same 2 sides but a longer distance, but again, with the grading and everything else, it becomes.
No, we understand that. Yeah, that's very evident.
Yeah, I just wanted to make sure, it wasn't that, you guys asked Dave a bunch of questions, and then I came back and I was like, I am entitled to this, and tell them that. That wasn't how the conversation went. So I just wanted to make sure that everything you guys asked for, we did take to heart and discuss, and I reached out, I didn't think to reach out to John and Chris, who are great guys, but I remember at closing when I was like, I technically owe you guys $1,200. Like, we don't have record of that. And I was like, all right. But I'll see if they have it.
I think it's worth talking to the geothermal company, just ask them their opinion.
Yeah.
Okay, so how about then we set an adjournment? Make a motion?
Make a motion.
Okay, so I'd like to have someone make a motion so that we can adjourn this meeting until more information is gathered, until November 11th?
Yeah,
November 10th.
I make a motion to
Second.
adjourn November 10th.
Yes.
Okay, so I think we'll. Oh, all in favor? Yeah, we have to have roll call, right? Okay. so
All in favor?
say aye.
Yes.
Mr. Moore? Mr. Lorenzini?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Delacorte?
Yes. And so, you guys know what you have to do.
No, absolutely.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll have more information next time, and another board member and.
I don't know, I understand the idea of precedence, and it's my house now, but it might not be my house in the future. It's my neighbor's property now, it might not be my neighbor's property in the future, but
Correct.
given the flag lot he has, there's also not a lot that he's ever going to be able to do with that property unless he also comes to you guys and says, I want to build another structure, and I want it to be,
5
8
feet.
feet from Ferris's pool.
Yeah.
So from a utility standpoint, there's not a lot that can happen with that space. I don't know if it'd be beneficial if I got his approval to say, right, hey, I got the registered letter, I saw the sign that was in the yard when I was walking my dog. I don't care how close he puts the pool to the house, what he really cares about is that I put bamboo trees in my backyard, because he doesn't want to look up and see the pool.
They're very invasive.
I would not go with bamboo.
You'd be very sorry.
Clumping bamboo, I've done a lot of bamboo research as well as geothermal and pool research, but, I think
Good
we're
luck.
gonna settle on a privacy screen and English ivy.
Yeah, so, and reconsider, reconsider, I know you're a tall man, I don't have that issue. I don't have that problem being tall. I fit everywhere mostly, so, yeah, but reconsider, I would, it's a large variance you're asking for. It's just me, my
No,
opinion.
it's not only that property, whole town, anyone could ask that, hey, this guy, you gave that permission, why not me? Maybe at the edge of the Pappinger's Pappinger's town property, but they have same desire, and that creates motion for everyone. So it's not only you and your neighbor or current, but somewhere else also. So that's one of the reasons we like to have as minimum variance as possible.
I understand.
In some case,
Thank
you
you.
have to, yes.
Thank you, sorry.
Did you, and you said you submitted new drawings for the
Yeah,
grading
please.
permit?
Yeah, the engineer requested,
Okay.
required this.
Okay, I just haven't seen them yet.
Thank you.
All right, thank
Okay,
you.
thank you, gentlemen. Okay, the next item on the agenda is a miscellaneous item. It's a vote on the 2021 ZBA meeting dates. Mr. Shaw said that he glanced over and he didn't see anything wrong with them. And anybody else see anything wrong with them? Okay, so I'd like to have a motion that we vote yay or nay on the meeting dates and roll call?
Yes, I'd like to make motion to accept it.
Second?
Mr. Moore?
Yes.
Mr. Lawrence?
Yes.
Mr. Shaw?
Yes.
Mr. Dawes?
Yes. We'll be happy to see 2021 come. Okay, so, I guess we'll make a motion to, I'd like someone to make a motion to adjourn the meeting, unless there's anything else, Barb, or B, or? Okay. So can someone make a motion to adjourn?
I can make motion to.
I'll second.
Agenda.
Okay. Meeting's adjourned.
All right.
We need a roll call on
Thank you,
that?
gentlemen. I was here till 11 last night, I'm done.
Okay.